different people who think differently, they're able to actually make the world
Mm.
more, how do you say, versatile, more different in the different approaches that we face. It's a new wave of creativity.
Thank you so much for coming today. So today we have Misha as my guest in my podcast Teman Bicara Damay. Can you introduce yourself, Misha, in order people know you better?
100%. Hi, everyone. My name is Misha Nicholas, and I'm under she, they pronouns. Currently, I work for the Maryland Department of Human Services as a public affairs officer, but also I'm an advocate for the environment. Really, really inspired and happy to be here today. It's amazing.
Thank you so much, Misha, for introducing yourself. It's amazing for knowing you are. To know more her, you can follow her LinkedIn because she shares a lot her artwork, her job, and the passion about mental health, everything. Also, I got inspired from you as well when we had brainstorming session at UPG, when we did Hurricane Island campaign together, right? At the moment when
Yes,
you
yes.
said something, oh my God, I need to invite this girl to my podcast. That's why. So, Misa, today we will talk about different abilities. I don't have much experience like having interaction. I feel like I'm not sure, like unsure how to interact or support them. Do you have any advice related with it? Also, how we can like respond on it? Because like, oh no, I don't know, like that will be hurt them or something like that. That's
Right,
my
right.
thought. Yeah.
Right, because and I love how you highlight that we live in such a conscious world that people are afraid. What type of disability? Like I'm more, for example, in the ADHD, autism spectrum disorder space. So if you know of a particular disability and you want to do like some personal research on social media, you can just like find people who speak about that or who, are advocates for that. And again, uplift them in the comments, because I feel like for that, it's like you're not particularly taking ownership toward that person's experience, but you're uplifting them in any way that you can. But if this is someone that you just like, for example, personally know as a pillar of support, I mean, you can just try to make them feel like themselves. I know
Mm.
that sounds weird, but I just think growing up, I was always very not ostracized, but I just felt different. And the more I grew up, the more unique, I realized I just accepted it. I just feel so much more in my element. So, when that judgment comes of like, oh, why is this person stimming? Stimming refers to, little coping mechanisms that maybe people who are neurodivergent do, like pacing back and forth or, doing stuff with their hands or something like that. Just make them feel comfortable, make them feel
Mm.
like what they're doing is the non status quo. It's just like a normal part of life.
I see. So the first thing that we need to do is do research. Like what's the type of different abilities that they have. The second one is how we can know that the person maybe have different abilities. Like we can know it by like directly or when we communicate with them, or how we can find that yeah this person have different abilities. Yeah.
I think that's very difficult as well because something that happens, the difference between, of course, sometimes physical, right, and disabilities is that when it comes to like my case, I've had people like be shocked when I told them I have ADHD or I think I'm an undiagnosed autistic. They're like, wait, what? Like, you don't look autistic,
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't know it was that thing. That instead of looking towards someone like who you think might have that,
Mm.
just kind of be open to like the nuances that they do and really get to know them. And like maybe eventually they might be comfortable with sharing that they have it or, sharing some of the things. We live sometimes in a world where people try to diagnose every right? Everything and everyone, where it's just kind of like maybe we should just take a step back and really get into the flow of just getting to know that person and the little things, right, that we might see right through our research, just kind of accepting it and giving them that space if they want to open up to it or not. Because unfortunately, it is still like a very sensitive
Yeah, yeah.
issue to even speak out. I mean, I've even had some people say when I was applying for jobs, like, oh, don't put that you have disability on your job
Mm-hmm.
because people might actually treat you different. So like it's still a taboo
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of different ways. But I think hopefully those are some of the tips that can help.
Yeah, like I have feeling like this. Oh, I wanted to be close with them. Wanted to them to be seen, to be heard, and
Yeah.
also, yeah, as you mentioned before, like make them space and listen more them because it's in an easy situation for them as well. So that's why I asked you about the tips. So first one is make a space, listen to them, and do you have another tip for us?
Yes. So once you do a little bit of research about that, just kind of get more familiar with the, local maybe NGOs, or if you don't even, if there aren't any NGOs, for example, ask around, just literally, ask around your community, hey, like, do you know if there are any initiatives happening? And if people realize that there aren't any initiatives happening,
Mm,
then that's the art of the UPG, right?
mm,
you know, ground up. I just think sometimes it's difficult when, it's not a person who has disability that's at the forefront of it, which I personally think that's how, but sometimes it isn't. But it's just like being more familiar again with the world sometimes that we're forced into, like the amount of discrimination,
Oh yeah.
right, that people, or, historical events that have happened with activists that have tried to speak out against that, stuff like that. And just to really soak in the experience as
Mm,
much as you can without, again, speaking for the community. But if you find that, for example, there aren't any ramps in stores, or, for people with physical disabilities,
mm,
for example, someone's in a wheelchair,
mm,
um, then definitely raise alarm about that. I mean, this is stuff that, of course, still exists, but because it's not talked about as much,
mhm,
people just don't feel the need to do anything. But silence is compliance, right? So I think that would be the third step, is that if you see something happening that due to your research and
mm,
observation is morally unjust,
mm,
to speak up about that, whether or not that's a conversation at your dinner table, or, if you want to talk to your friends about it to see, hey, what can we, kind of do to highlight this issue toward our town or our community.
mm,
That's a really, really big step. It's just talking about it. The more you talk about it, the more popularity it gains. Just keep the conversation going.
mm,
Even if you don't know anyone with a physical or, a mental impairment or disability, like, don't be afraid to raise questions. Always ask questions,
mm,
right? I always ask questions. And people
mm.
are like, why do you ask so many questions? I tell them, I don't know why I ask questions. I just ask questions when I get confused.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know, but I hope those tips do help. And
Mm,
once again, I really respect that you have the bravery to even ask
mm,
these kinds of questions, because some people are really afraid, like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing or whatever. I'm like, well, no offense, but like, it's better to actually speak up about
yeah.
what needs to be done instead of you thinking in your head, like analyzing every single thing, because no one's perfect. I'm
Mm,
still learning as the process goes. Like, as a disabled person, like, I'm still realizing the nuances in my own community of like what to say, what not to say, how to
mm.
do this, like, so this is a whole journey we're learning.
That's I thought before. I was afraid to ask you, but Okay, okay, Damai, you can do this. To be honest, okay. So do research and also being familiar with it, because when we familiar about it, we can speak more and we can understand more about the person, right?
100%. But also, I feel like the biggest, well, probably number four is to not like, how do you say, not make it such a like, I'm trying to be careful what I say. When people say that, oh, ADHD is a superpower, it's like people have good intentions,
Mm.
but sometimes when you say stuff like that, it can actually diminish the experience of that
Mm.
individual who's going through their disability. Because, like, the ugly side of ADHD, right, is, there's correlation to depression, anxiety, substance abuse, that goes on in our community. So I think even if you do have good intentions for that, just kind of be careful to also to backtrack, to be like, okay, wait, I don't want to, kind of divert someone's experience, but
Mm.
what I can do is say, okay, that obviously should be normalized because different people who think differently, they're able to actually make the world
Mm.
more, how do you say, versatile, more different in the different approaches that we face. It's a new wave of creativity.
Mm.
So I just think it's like a giant teamwork, collaboration all the
Yeah.
time. Like, oh, hey, join on board because you think differently than this. That could maybe help us solve X, Y, and Z. So I think that's just like a better approach to face it than the whole superhero trope. But that's just me.
Yeah, involve them because we don't know. Maybe they have they have like amazing thing that we never thought. I think that's really great to like make I can say make them to be part of the community. So and also like act normal. Like yeah, that's like okay. This is my friends. Don't feel like oh, I can say not act weird. Yeah, I can say like that, or maybe oh.
Yeah, 100,
Mm-hmm.
100%. Because again, it's like the outside world, they deem neurodivergent people, for example. I'm not speaking for every disabled person, but this is just through my neurodivergent experience. That yeah, people have tried to like act quote unquote normal, just like, but not in the way that it should be. So, like, let's just say, for example, I don't know, if I sometimes will do this with my hand or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way to kind of go about that is just act chill, like we're talking right now. Just act, like not like ignore what's happening, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the biggest barrier that breaks it is people separating us as
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, we integrate that kind of feeling that something's already normal. It's like we're manifesting that into reality so that it can be a part of our society as it is.
Mhm. Yeah. So like they cannot be themselves. Like they afraid to show themselves in front of public or to society because we make the difference, right?
100%.
Oh,
A
not
hundred percent.
not we. Maybe I cannot say we. Maybe some of people.
Hey,
So.
don't feel afraid. Don't feel afraid to go on this channel, okay? I should be the one being like, ooh, what should I say? Like, so don't worry.
Okay. Okay. So the last question, Misha, maybe you wanna say something to the audience. What do you wanna to say about you or your community? And yeah, just maybe the closing statement from you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, it's been such an honor. So, what I can say as someone who, really advocates for people with disabilities is that this is just, we've maybe won partially, at least in the well, mainly talking from the United States, the battle, but there's still the war. So recently, I was a part of a sign on letter for the Biden administration to finalize Section 504, which is so, so significant because now, with the Health and Human Services Department any programs that are funded under HHS can no longer be discriminatory toward people with disabilities, which is huge, right? Which is a good step, but I think sometimes we forget that when we still have a law in place, we always still need to be asking questions. We still need to be advocating for things that we still view as unjust. Don't be afraid to really be yourself and speak up, because I really feel like we live in a world of, unfortunately, unoriginality, where people are just trying to become the same. But I really feel like, between us, that it's the originality that really shines through, and it really gains a sense of uniqueness of who people really are. So, don't be afraid to step into a big room that you deem as, unfit to be in. Always pitch business ideas to whoever you want. Start that business, especially as a woman. Like, take that lead initiative in anything that you want to do, and not just for my community, but for all communities. And most importantly, we're in the fight in this together. Once again, I am an advocate, but I am also very diplomatic in this approach. I'm not trying to start anything. But hopefully, within our lifetime, we can just see all strides that not just I'm making, but you and other UPG sustainability leaders are making in our communities, come to fruition. And I'm just, once again, really so excited to meet you and really see all of our journeys toward the SDG goals, because like I said before, we're all interconnected somehow in some way. Even if I'm doing, like, mainly focusing right now on SDG 13 and SDG 10, right? Your nuances could be in climate action, but also gender equality, right? And sustainable cities and ending poverty. Like, there's so much of a spear. So just to wrap this up, let's just come as one, let's think as one, because at the end of the day, with every SDG we do, it might fall into the category that some of your other associates are focusing on. So once again, it's having that mindset toward building a framework of equality in every aspect, right? Because that's how I see it. Like, I've worked in the agriculture space, research for renewable energy policy, international development. But now when I came back to the US, I'm like, okay, so apply the same concepts here as well. But I could focus on, sustainable communities, gender equality as well, climate change, right? Like, so many different nuances and disability rights that fit with one another. So, yeah, I just think it's really great to have such a strong group of folks fighting the good fight.
Thank you so much, Misha, for your wrap up. And also, I can see how your energy and your passion about SDGs, that we are each other really connected each other, and yeah, to make the world a better place.
100%. We're all one. And whenever someone does something good in one SDG, it's done for all of us. So keep that in mind, guys, and let's work together to really make the 2030 SDG goals a
Oh,
reality.
I
Let's
hope.
do this. It's
I
fast
hope.
approaching.
It's like 6 years. 6 years.
Oh
Oh
no.
no. I don't know. But let's hope, let's hope. Yeah. Okay. Thank
All
you so
right.
much, Misa. And also thank you for delivering such a beautiful messages to us. So it's really great. Yeah.